Hey, peace and blessings to whoever might be watching this. I just wanted to share a little bit of a story, something that I learned. I guess I could say it's something that I learned, a lesson for me, and maybe a lesson for all of us in some respect. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of inspired by a guy by the name of DJ CB that seems to put out a lot of stories about his adventures and his adventures and business ventures. So let me just kind of describe a scenario for you. I was out running sound and I had to the event was over and I had to make two trips. I had to break down the equipment. I had a cart that wouldn't carry all the equipment at one time. So I had to break down equipment, take a cart off of the stage area and come back. And during my return, what had happened that the event was over. This was outdoors, and what had happened is that some people had gathered around the area where the presenters and the performers had been presenting and performing, and we still had stuff on the stage, and they were taking pictures, and they had kind of blocked my path, which I had to go up some steps to get this equipment, and they blocked my path, and I kind of maneuvered through the crowd and set my cart, unfortunately, in the way of their picture, and we just kind of got into it, and it was unfortunate in my opinion, because as the adult, and I'll say professional in the situation, I feel like I could have handled things differently, but also I think that there were adults and professionals on the other side that could have handled things differently as well. And when they all just kind of crowded around where I was at, it became apparent, if it wasn't apparent before, that I was actually working and that I needed to continue my job. And I kind of compared it to like a construction site, that if you're driving down the highway or something like that, and there's a whole construction site where you see equipment piled up or loaded up, and vehicles and everything, and that may be extreme, but I just doubt if folks would just pull over and say, hey, let's do a shoot right here. And it kind of got into it where they wanted me to stop for 10 minutes, and I suggested pretty rudely for them to just move away for 10 minutes while I do what I need to do. And just the exchange of words where people were actually starting to touch my equipment, touch the cart, trying to move the cart, and suggesting that, or asking, can't you take more than one piece of equipment down at a time? And I was like, well, I could if you helped. And like, it just kind of got into it. And what bothered me about the situation, just kind of after the fact, sometimes you get surprised by certain things, and emotions run high. I felt that the folks that were just setting up for this photo shoot weren't really considerate or aware of the surroundings, because this was a big event. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people had attended, and it was just after we had shut the sound down, maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, maybe. And I just kind of felt that and it was probably about 35 people. What it seemed like, it was an entire class. Maybe they were graduating, maybe they're going to prom. Not sure. A bunch of student aged people, and seemingly, if I had to guess, their parents, and maybe a professional photographer that was leading them around. Similar to, I don't know if you've seen like a wedding party, as they walk around and take pictures of the bride and groom and the wedding party, and they go out to some park or something like that. It seemed to be like that, but the subjects that were having the photographs taken of them seemed to be younger than what I would anticipate to be like a wedding party. So that's why I thought maybe it was a prom, or a homecoming or something like that. It's probably a prom. That's what I thought, because they were really dressed up. And the bad part that I thought was, it wasn't necessarily political, wasn't necessarily racial, but I just thought that the folks that were coming to take those pictures, the adults in charge, weren't being considerate that something else was happening. And I feel like I could have been a better adult and explained things differently, because what I think is because of my behavior, and I'm taking this on myself, right? That I think because of my behavior, that those adults may have gone back and said something to those kids. See, that's why blah 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 whatever, and had some disparaging or derogatory comments about me and my behavior, and I just kind of regret that, because if I thought that there was a situation where somebody wasn't, if people weren't cognizant, if they weren't aware, if they weren't taking notice of their surroundings and things happening, that I could have politely made them aware of what was going on. And if they push back and say, well, can you just move, then maybe, okay, then maybe my tone might have changed at that point. But my tone changed immediately. And I don't necessarily regret the things that I said to the adults, and the redirection that I had for them. I don't. I could have done it differently, and the regret is for the students that were there to witness that, because I don't think that the lesson would have been, hey, mom, dad, photographer, adults, we probably should have been aware that something else was going on. I don't think that will be the lesson. I think they'll just think of me as being a rude, angry old man. Um, but I can't tell the future. I don't know what happened when they went home. But what made me think of DJ CB is that he often talks about the different things that he's going through DJing, and this was just one thing that I went through. And so maybe I would encourage all of us to just maybe be more aware, and and rest in peace, like Jerry Springer used to say, hey, be kind, what is it, take care of yourselves and each other. So maybe if we can do that, just be a little more aware, a little more kind to each other, maybe the world will be a better place. So that's my lesson that I'm going to try to learn, or that I learned, and I hope to move forward with it. So thanks for watching. Peace and blessings.